When I first decided to make a video discussing techniques filmmakers use for establishing shots, I had no idea how difficult it would be to find actual examples, at least for modern shows and films. So I started to wonder, is it becoming a lost art, or at least a lost technique? Okay, let's back up for a second and define what an establishing shot is first. An establishing shot in film is typically a brief view of the exterior of a building or a wide shot of a location in order to orient the viewer to where the following scene will take place. Therefore, typically the next shot will be the interior of the building or, for outdoor scenes, a closer angle on where the scene actually takes place. The establishing shot is commonly placed between two scenes to transition the viewer to a new location. As an example here, from the popular late 80s, early 90s sitcom Seinfeld, we join a conversation between George and Jerry in the latter's apartment. George has asked Jerry to get his books back from a woman he just broke up with, and Jerry agrees. We then cut to a shot of the exterior of a diner, overhear a little bit of a conversation between Jerry and Marlena, that's George's ex, before joining the two inside. Fans of the show will recognize the diner shot as it was used countless times, and no matter how many scenes took place there during the show's 9 seasons, almost invariably an establishing shot was inserted. Was it necessary each time? Or even the first time? Well, that's debatable. If the scenes cut right from Jerry's apartment to the interior of the diner, I'm pretty sure we, the viewer that is, would have figured out fairly quickly where we were, and the diner itself is incidental to the scene. That is, in this scene, the location isn't really important to the narrative. These days, it's common to see a cut from an interior scene in one location to another interior shot, skipping the establishing shot altogether. In this clip from the series Barry, we jump from a group conversation inside an acting studio to a detective's office inside a police station, joining a conversation in mid-flight between two people who we haven't seen before. Now, you'd be excused if you felt a little lost at first, as there are no immediate indicators as to where we are and who these people even are. Thankfully, the dialogue quickly provides clues to the fact that they are A, detectives, and B, are investigating a recent murder. And if the viewer is playing catch-up for a moment during this transition, perhaps that's a good thing? The viewer is therefore forced to pay more attention to what's going on and what's being said between these two new characters. So, if in most cases the who, where, and what becomes obvious fairly quickly, why do we even need establishing shots in the first place? There are a few cases where an establishing shot, or, as in this case, a montage of shots, help the viewer follow a sequence very early in the story when the characters and their backgrounds, motives, etc. are unknown to us, and or when a central character goes somewhere completely new, for example to a different city or country. The viewer needs a bit more information in order to follow the story. This series of shots from the HBO series Banshee is from the beginning of the very first episode and follows the main character Lucas Hood as he makes his way back to New York after being released from prison. I say back because it's clear from his actions he knows exactly where he's going, and when he walks into the salon, the looks he gets from the owner indicates they clearly know each other. In this case, there are a series of establishing shots as Hood moves from the prison to walking on railroad tracks to a bar, to the back room of a bar, which we won't show here, onto the highway, and finally into Manhattan. The setting is made perfectly clear through external shots of the city. Even a destination sign is thrown in just to make sure. And in this case, with an unknown character, the pace dictates determination and reveals something about the man. In other cases, like the opening scene from the film Fargo, we have an extended sequence of very bleak shots of a car driving through the snow in North Dakota. The music is bleak, the pace is extremely slow, and it sets us up perfectly for the mood of the film. Now, technically what you are seeing here is an establishing shot as I described earlier, but the effect is the same, to orient the viewer to a location, but also set the mood and pace for the scene, and for the rest of the film that follows. So these examples beg the question, when is an establishing shot necessary? The easy way to answer that is, it depends. But to extend that, and to answer, depends on what, the decision rests on how much information the storyteller wants to give the viewer, taking into consideration the desired pacing of the scene and the film, the mood and the emotion of both, as well as time constraints. Thank you for watching.